Click, click, boom.
Okay, I'm recording now, so be really self-conscious from this point on about everything you say.
Wait, let's do the 3, 2, 1 thing again while we're recording, just in case.
Okay, yeah, but I can't clap, so we'll just have to go 3, 2, 1, and then scream.
Did you lose sensation in your limbs?
I have terrible carpal tunnel syndrome.
Oh, from all that coding.
From being a code bro, man. I can't take my hands off the keyboard for a second, and I got hollow bones because of the gamer fuel.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll clap.
3,
2, 1.
Wait,
Fuck you.
We have to do it in like a rhythm.
Fuck you. Okay, what's our rhythm? It's not.
It's like every. It's
not 1 quarter note, 2 eighth notes.
Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2.
3, 2, 1.
I think we're good.
God fucking damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blastropodcast presents Muffed Movies.
Hey, real quick. Real quick, I want to read an advertisement.
Oh,
you can
boy,
help me with this, because Cards Against Humanity loves to fuck around.
Oh, is it a Cards Against Humanity?
No, it's for Laganitas, but it's through Chicago Podcast Cooperative.
Oh, okay. Can we actually record this, because I'm actually currently drinking a Victory Sour Monkey.
I don't even know what that is.
I saw Laganitas on the shelf earlier, and I do buy it a lot, but I was like, not today with that fucking bullshit.
You know what? It kind of makes me sad. My girlfriend and I were at the gym not an hour ago, and I was like, oh shit, we gotta hurry home. Like, gotta get this stuff set up. And I was like, oh, I want to buy some beer before recording. And there was no time.
Oh, no, you didn't have to rush.
So I don't know how I'm going to be funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the thing is, you're going to be just as unfunny as we always are, but you're just going to know it in the moment.
You can be terribly cruel, Andy. Okay, let me read this shit, okay?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, and then you do something funny at the end.
Waka
okay.
waka!
Good. Save that for the fight.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. This episode is brought to you by the Lagunitas Brewing Company. This is bad type. Okay, hold on. I'm going to read it as written.
You stopped on the word come.
That's usually the signal for the end.
Which, if that's what the copy says, you're right that it's not a great market copy.
Lagunitas demands that you come this winter. Okay, here we go. This episode is brought to you by the Lagunitas Brewing Company's Chicago Taproom and Beer Sanctuary. This episode is brought to you by the Lagunitas
Beer Sanctuary. I'm not sure how much we're allowed to goof about the actual content of the ad.
Mr. Hammond, we found a way to save them all. We're good. There's an island.
If you shake an IPA, you change its sex.
Okay. Here we go. This episode is brought to you by the Lagunitas Brewing Company's Chicago Taproom and Beer Sanctuary. Come for fresh beer, live music, and killer food Wednesdays through Sundays. Come for fresh beer, live music. It does say come.
Yeah, you've said it enough times now that I can't stop hearing it.
Okay, here we go. Come for fresh beer, live music, and killer food Wednesdays through Sundays, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Bring your group and hop on a brewery tour 7 days a week. Swing by the Login. Swing by the Login.
Mr. IPA, where'd you come from?
From your beer. Swing by the Lagunitas.
That's what the tour is.
I wish. Okay.
Dr. Grant can't stand it. He's like, when do we get to see the hops?
Wait a minute. All of these are single malt beverages?
Yes. They need an extra hormone to become IPAs, and we simply deny them that.
It would be great if we knew more about brewing.
I only know IPA and sour.
I only know Hefeweizen.
I think we would be 1,000% more boring if we knew anything more about brewing than we do, though.
That's true.
The only thing I know about is Dungeons and Dragons, and I won't shut the fuck up about that, so.
This is how we brew it.
Okay, let's start again. 3, 2, 1.
This episode is brought to you by the Lagunitas Brewing Company's Chicago Taproom and Beer Sanctuary. This episode is brought to you by the Lagunitas Brewing Company's Chicago Taproom and Beer Sanctuary. Come for fresh beer, live music, and killer food Wednesdays through Sundays, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Bring your group and hop on a brewery tour 7 days a week. Swing by the Lagunitas Taproom in Pilsen or find some near you at lagunitas.com. Life is uncertain. Don't sip. Life is uncertain. Andy, say something funny at that.
I can't. Everything that I thought would be funny was so horrendously inappropriate. Here's the thought that was actually going through my head is like, at some point I should jump in and say, Adolf Hitler was misunderstood.
Here's the funny thing. Lagunitas. All of this bullshit is going to be your ad.
Good. Thanks a fucking lot, Lagunitas. I have drunk more Lagunitas than probably any other beer brand. And yet I can't stop myself from just still shitting all over their ad, apparently, when you're reading it.
I mean, it's fun to shit on things.
Yeah. Lagunitas, I like that little something something, even though it's very difficult to order. Do you know?
I feel like a sex pervert when I buy that because there's a picture of like a pinup girl.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
You know, it's down here. It's in North Carolina all over the place. I thought it was more local than it apparently is, but you can get Lagunitas at like any bar down here.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I never order it because I'm too busy ordering a sweet tea because it's so hot. I got a powerful thirst.
Well, wait a minute. Save that for your intro because we're going to talk about how you sound different because you're down in the Carolinas.
Wendy, here we are at the Overlook Hotel.
I think and there we go. It's like when you improvise, you have like one of 4 like slotted holes, and around each hole there's like a slight indentation in the ground, and so you're walking, you're like, okay, I don't know where we're headed.
Sure.
And that, like, if you take a step just a little bit too far in the right, you're going down that hole of the old Southern gentleman.
Oh yeah, certainly. I run this Dungeons and Dragons run club where I have to play like multiple different characters in the course of whatever, like 45 minutes or an hour. And there will never be a time when there is ever an evil wizard or an undead thing or whatever, and they don't always end up having a voice like this. It's like whatever interesting voice they start out with, it always just at the end ends up being like this.
The Serpent King.
The Serpent King. Or the Necromancer or whatever.
Yeah, the thing I love about that character is the way he laughs is always ha, ha, ha. Like the words H-A-H-A-H-A. That's how he laughs. He's never like, hey. He's like, ha, ha, ha. I've got you now, Maverick.
You described it one time as all of our episodes are done by like a small town community theater that only like 6 people belong to.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's an apt description.
Thank you. And while it sounds like I am shitting on your character work, I like your character work, and I enjoy those characters. That's why we revisit them time and time again.
No, I will. I take no offense from it because I fully agree.
Okay, now that we're in a stage of full agreement,
here we go.
Let's begin the show.
I'm fully agreeable right now. Oh my god.
Oh
you
my
don't
god.
even know. I got a big old agreement going on down here.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Blastropodcast presents Muffed Movies. I'm your host, Mark Soloff.
And I'm your host, Andy North.
And welcome back, I should say. Guys, it's been like one episode of Blastropodcast, and we're back on the Muff train. I think it should show where my interests lie now, but the show is still officially Blastropodcast.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier to be back on that old Muff train. When is this? What time? I know when this episode is coming out, but why don't you say it for the listeners? what time of year it is right now.
Okay, currently, at time of recording, it is January 2019, and the whole United States is suffering from a cold snap, which is very appropriate for the thing we're about to muff.
Oh, are you suffering from a cold snap, Mark Soloff?
Yeah, Andy, it's in the single digits here in Chicago. Why are you?
Ooh, did you have to put an extra silk scarf on over your seersucker suit because there was a chill breeze outside?
Andy, you're talking like someone from a different place than Chicago. What's going on?
I'm sorry. Does my voice sound different because of the humidity? I'm out here on a front porch waving myself with a oversized fan, trying to keep the flies away from my sarsaparilla.
Wait a minute, Andy.
Yeah, I'm living down south now, baby.
Did you move to Ecuador?
No.
Well, you said all the famous Ecuadorian stereotypes.
I was doing that famous Ecuadorian Bugs Bunny character.
Yeah, you know those Ecuadorian Mark Twain characters.
Yeah. No, I'm a Southerner now. You Yankees, I'm sorry that you're having a tough time up there, but down here, baby, it was 50 degrees out today.
50?
I'm wearing shorts. Yeah, I saw it was negative 19 degrees in Chicago today.
That's incorrect, but it will soon be that cold.
Was it not that bad?
Let me just nitpick over a podcast that's coming out in the future. Like, people give a shit about
I absolutely
the weather.
love this. I love having this conversation in real life with boring people, but it's even better when it's being recorded and shared on our comedy podcast.
Yeah. Speaking about Cher, she was popular in the 80s. And you know what came before the 80s? The 1970s.
Uh-huh. I'm following you. I don't know where we're going.
An era in which hotels were really tacky looking, and Jack Nicholson was still slim and apparently important.
So it's a little. I feel like I'm going to do great on today's episode because I have read all of Stephen King's books.
Mm-hmm.
I've
books?
seen this movie a couple. Yeah, he's an author.
I thought they just made movies about his adventures.
No, I'm gonna do like a pop-up video version of this movie where I introduce interesting Stephen King facts the whole time. Like, do you know that he hates the movie?
I was aware that he was disappointed. Yeah,
I finally read the book for the first time this year, and let me tell you something about Stephen King. He hates the movie because he says Jack Nicholson is like crazy from the beginning, and he's like, the book is about a good man who becomes crazy because there's a haunted hotel.
Yeah.
And then I read the book, and fucking Jack Torrance breaks his own kid's arm in like the first 10 pages.
Yeah.
And like feels a little bit guilty about it, but like not nearly guilty enough. And so it's interesting. I feel like it's a glimpse into the mind of old S. King, who I do love, where he's like, sure, we all make mistakes, and everybody breaks a kid's arm or two, but Jack Nicholson, no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I've been listening to a ton of Stephen King audiobooks, and I've noticed almost all of his protagonists are writers who have had struggles with alcohol in their lives.
Yes. He has infinite patience for alcoholic writers and has less patience for women or black people who don't speak in an outdated patois.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Stephen King's treatment of black people is very problematic.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness.
Including a line in this movie, tonight's movie, which we are going to muff, which we will not repeat. That's unnecessarily used to describe a chef who's on his way, and it's just totally this unnecessary slur. I'm drunk.
I think it was funny.
Son, get over here. Let me break your arm.
Take your medicine. I'm a good man. Hotel is gonna turn into a bad person.
Hotels are scary. That's why at hotels.com we'll reimburse you for all your son's broken bones.
Hi. Yeah, anyway.
You're living in the South. It's cold in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's only going to get colder. And tonight, dear listener, dim your lights. Get ready for the spookiest, ookiest experience you've ever had on Muffed Movies. Because we've never done a horror movie before. Tonight, Muffed Movies Theater presents Stephen King's book as misinterpreted by Stanley Kubrick.
As butchered by Stanley Kubrick in a spooky way.
As misinterpreted by Jack Nicholson.
Stephen King's intentions as an artist wander into a haunted hotel, only to be butchered by Stanley Kubrick and Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Smash cut. Muffed Movies is a parody podcast where we celebrate film through parody. Smash cut.
Oh,
fuck.
Yeah,
Wait,
we've only
stop.
done this. How many times have we done this now? A billion?
I forgot the format. He forgot the format.
Okay, 3,
Here's
2.
what I noticed in any given circumstance, especially job interviews or police interrogations. If you're in trouble and you need to vamp, just sing your thoughts to the tune of "This Is How We Do It," and all will be forgiven.
Now, this is something that you've noticed helps? Like, this is good advice?
Yeah, that's how I got cast in that Beatles tribute band stage show in Vegas.
The Meatles.
Beat the Beatles.
It's like Blue Man Group, but you're just on stage with a bunch of raw meat, slapping it with mallets.
Yeah, and all the meat has like shag haircuts.
Yep, everybody is wearing tarps, but they're very
Ooh.
upset.
I'm Ed Sullivan, and whoa, that's a lot of young meat on the stage. Oh, hair botulism.
That's a deep cut. That's like a Stephen King style reference.
Ooh, yes, cowboys and Ed Sullivan references. Welcome to the horrifying world of Stephen King. This is how we do it.
It is funny. There's a little pop-up thing about Stephen King, too. If you ever read any of his books, he'll be writing a book in, like, 2015, 2016, and he'll have, like, a teen character. But, like, that teen will still be thinking about, like, the Ed Sullivan Show.
And
or, like,
Howdy
making
Doody
references to, yeah, like, that kind of stuff. And it's like, Stephen King, have you not watched television since, like, you were growing up? Can you, like,
No.
literally not pull anything, like, Friends even? He's like, yeah, all of a sudden, Frankie, the 12-year-old, started thinking about Green Acres again.
Here's an interesting thing for you. Have you seen the television show Hannibal?
I have not.
Oh, which is strange for all the Silence of the Lambs work you've done on this show.
Well, yeah, I inhabited that character very well, but it just comes from a place of truth, not from exhaustively watching trash media.
That's true. You do kind of got to leave it behind.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, in Hannibal, there's an actor. I think his name is Raul Esparza, and he plays the unctuous Dr. Chiltron. Chilton. I always want to call him Chiltron. And I got a copy of the audiobook of Under the Dome by Stephen King.
Oh, yeah.
Where Raul Esparza is the narrator. And there's a line where a teenager gives his mother a look that is described as a "mother, please" look. And it's like Stephen King is saying, like, "Oh, please, give me a break." Mm-hmm. The way Raul Esparza interprets it and says it is like, "Mother, please."
Oh, Dr. Chiltron.
Dr. Chiltron. break dancing you off the stage.
Mother, please. Don't look at me like that with those eyes.
Kiss the cook.
The cook's busy kiss me instead.
Guilty as charged.
Technically, I am wearing an apron, officer.
I like how Burke in our previous Muff Movies Aliens became the Dr. Chilton archetype.
Yeah, it was because, I think, again, because you described him as something approaching unctuous, and that set my mind into a different track.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Behind the scenes of Muffed Movies. You lucky listeners.
Wow. I bet you're sitting here being like, I wish these guys would just talk forever about their process.
I mean, you know what? I'm actually interested when shows that I like talk about how the sausage is made.
No, I know, I agree. And I, legit have no idea what This is going to sound insulting, but I have no idea what people like about this. Maybe they just like our chemistry.
Big penises. Andy, I saved you.
Thank you so much.
That's Chicago improv.
Thanks for pulling me out of this quicksand with your big penis.
Wait, we do it together. Andy, clasp my hand.
3, 2,
Together.
1.
Fuck everything. Andy, we
it-
can't do this if we're in different rooms.
That's what I'm wondering. Is there a lag where you
come
can't
in
quite
here.
hear when
Come
I
in. Get it? I know you're outside.
Do you want to do it and I'll do the crawl?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Wait. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Have you watched the Shining movie?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because sometimes you don't watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like my tiny notes are not as explicit as they could be.
Let's clarify something, you piece of shit, before you throw me under the bus in front of my audience.
No, I was going to cut that part. Honest.
I've never gone into this not having watched the movie, period. It just may have been 15 years in the past.
Like, oh yeah, I watched that once 15 years ago.
Which I thought was the conceit of the show.
No, you made that happen.
You said we're repeating movies from memory.
You got me on a technicality.
I did.
It wasn't like...
technicality that means I never have to do any work.
Right. It wasn't like we take one man who's done a lot of research on the movie and another guy who doesn't even know the movie. And they have to retell the whole story.
It's a classic snobs versus slobs, the fish out of water comedy that everybody enjoys.
It's one of those kicking and screaming marriage romantic comedy films.
I'm like that guy that had to pretend to be an Apple executive on national television. You remember that? That was a good time.
No, I don't work in coding yet, so I don't know about all of this.
This was a couple years back. If you haven't seen that, audience, and if Mark doesn't cut this out, look that video up. It's pretty good. This guy was just wandering around in, I think he was there to interview for like a job as a janitor or something at this news headquarters, and was sitting, and they came in and were like, "Oh, are you such and such?" And he was like, "Mm-hmm," like mishearing them. And they took him in and like got him ready and started interviewing him because they thought he was an executive from Apple that was there to be interviewed on the news. And he just like faked his way through it because he's like, "Oh, I don't want to embarrass these guys." He's like the best person I've ever met in my life.
Wow. This is a real, like, the government inspector play where some rube is considered this very important figure and everyone like kowtows to him and he's like, "Well, I guess I'll just do this."
Yep. It's just it's The Foreigner by Larry Shue.
Oh, I thought that was a sex position.
That's the way it is. The way I do it.
Because they're always like, "You're not my husband."
Yeah, there's a lot of mistaken identity.
That's what we call the Carolina Flim Flam. Bop. The Shining. It is a time of 1970s destitution for the down-on-their-luck family of the Torrances. Jack Torrance, the former English teacher father, sometime playwright, needs a job desperately to fund his family. Stay-at-home mom, Wendy, and the psychically sensitive boy, Danny. Jack heads to a job interview, but will he make it, or will he wind up not getting the job?
Smash wipe. 2, a helicopter shot. The mountains of, is it Colorado, where
Yeah, Colorado.
The mountains of Colorado, we see a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, which seems unsuited for this rugged... Hello? Hey! Hey, get out of the way, you piece of shit!
But I gotta get all this kindling up the mountain to the hotel. It gets awful cold here in the winters, don't you know?
Move out of the way, man. I gotta get to the Overlook Hotel with my pregnant wife and son.
Oh, you must be that newcomer seeking a job at the Overlook. Don't mind me. I'm just the lumber conductor driving my train on the country road.
You're giving yourself airs, man. You're just a wood jockey.
Oh.
The heartbroken pulp technician pulls his truck forward and continues through the winding Colorado mountain roads as the Beetle pulls off into an imposing, some might say menacing, gigantic hotel overlooking the mountain pass.
The mountain pass? Yes. All sorts of spooky synth trombone music accompanies the long journey of the VW Beetle. And
you have synth trombone written down here as a note. What is a synth trombone?
So it took me like a long time to try to precisely figure out what that was. There's like spooky music as Jack Nicholson is driving the VW Beetle up the long, winding Colorado mountain road. Mm. And it's like, boom, boom. And it's absolutely a synthesized instrument, but I think it's supposed to sound like a brass instrument. I wanted to go with synth oboe, but I don't think it's an oboe. And if it's brass, I think that it's higher than a tuba, but
if it's
lower.
Brass, send it bass.
That's right. This message brought to you by Laganitas. Life is inscrutable. Don't sip. So yeah, I was like, well, okay, split the difference between trumby and tuby. Split the difference between trumpet and tuba, and that's a trombone.
That's fine. It's just a trombone always makes me think of like a womp 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 womp. So when you say synth trombone, it makes me think of that, but like 80s style.
Yeah, I mean, I have no clue. Sharp-eared listeners, if you know what that synth instrument is,
elves?
Elves aren't an instrument, Andy. I've tried to tell you this.
You said sharp-eared
times.
Listeners.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah, I do.
Doing a fucking Legolas over here listening to the podcast. If you Legolas, so right in. Tell me how you shoot all those arrows so fast.
Get at me, Legolas. Okay.
Smash White. The lobby of the Overlook Hotel.
We see a gigantic title in white that says, The Interview, in case you didn't know that this interview scene was about to take place.
If there's one thing that, what's his name who directed this?
Stanley Kubrick.
If there's one thing Stanley Kubrick likes, it's taking shortcuts. So he just says, this is a job interview, and then doesn't bother to do any set dressing or... He's like, just pretend like there's a job interview happening here.
I think Kubrick was trained in the silent movie era. So he's like, we need title cards to say, like, a chase ensues.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so we got to do this classy like Stanley Kubrick did.
Okay. Hey there, tits. My name's Jack Torrance, and I'm here for a job interview. Why don't you just show me to the manager's office at the Overlook Hotel? Says the, like devilishly grinning Jack Nicholson, who's being like weirdly like, we're conspiratorial. We're both in on the same joke here. Like devilish grin to everyone in his vicinity.
Right. Like Jack Nicholson has always played and always will play.
You know what? Honestly, I don't watch a ton of Nicholson. The only roles I really remember him in are in Batman and in the Witches of Eastwick. Mm-hmm. And basically, he's doing that same shit there too.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he could be normal.
No, he really can't. And it's funny because I was like watching the Witches of Eastwick, the Broadway musical. Did you know they made it into a musical? Hello! And the dude who plays the devil in it is doing like a Jack Nicholson impression. It is like he also is buying into the fact that it's like, oh yeah, this character's like Jack Nicholson. Just like Jack Nicholson did, who he's like, I'm not going to play somebody else. Are you kidding me? I'm the devil. I'm Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, like, I am the devil, so I'm just going to phone this one in.
Ah, yes, Mr. Torrance, come in. We're so pleased that you could join us here at the Overlook Hotel.
Well, as you know, is it Mr. Ullman, manager?
That's me, the old man, Mr. Oldman, is what they call me. Although, it doesn't stop me from having my way with whichever of the household maids. I think we're both gentlemen of the world, Mr. Torrance.
I think I catch your drift, sir. Jack Nicholson says, winking like nonstop at Mr. Ullman.
Mr. Ullman winks back, and then his eye sticks for a moment as he tries to reopen it.
Flash cut to the Torrance family kitchen. Back down at a regular altitude, we see Wendy Torrance, Jack's wife and the mother of their son, Danny Torrance. Wendy is that lady who played Olive Oil in the live-action Popeye movie with Robin Williams.
I think more people would know Shelley Duvall from Fairy Tale Theater, Mark.
I don't know what Fairy Tale Theater, Mark, is.
Do you not?
No.
Hi, I'm Shelley Duvall. Tonight, Robin Williams plays the Frog Prince.
Ribbit.
It was this really weird show where like very popular 80s and 90s actors would recreate like fairy tales. It's crazy. You should go back and watch it. I feel like a lot of people probably saw Fairy Tale Theater.
So here's the deal with, I guess, Shelley Duvall, a.k.a. Wendy Torrance, but I feel like this is just the person. And I might be absolutely wrong because I've never seen her in anything else other than as Olive Oil. Mm-hmm. She's like a very kind-hearted, optimistic, low-intelligence person who is just like thrown into the like maelstrom of life's troubles and torments and cannot escape.
You mean the like the character that she tends to play?
I don't know. I just see Wendy Torrance and I assume she is the same as Shelley Duvall.
I think if it's not unkind to say, I think that Shelley Duvall tends to do the same thing that Jack Nicholson does, where she kind of plays the same character in everything that she's in. However, the person that Shelley Duvall chose to play is much less likable than the person that Jack Nicholson tends to play.
That's rough because I think Jack Nicholson is charming, but also like fundamentally unlikable.
Oh yes. So let me take that back entirely.
Andy, you're like, I want to be like Jack. I don't want to be low status like Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy Torrance doesn't get what she wants. Problem with that fucking bitch Shelley Duvall is she don't know how to world works.
Says Danny.
All right, let me take it back.
Anyway, enough about Shelley Duvall talk. That's a separate podcast.
Shelley Duvall was in Fairy Tale Theater, which you've probably seen.
Not me.
Well,
I was born in 1998.
No,
I'm young and fresh and cool. I know about things.
Listeners who had basic cable growing up will have seen Shelley Duvall in every episode playing a different character in Fairy Tale Theater.
Oh.
A wink. Let me share that with you guys, people that grew up in the only 90s kids will understand Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, only BK Kids Club kids will understand. Anyway, enough of this shit. Danny is just like a weird little quiet, intense young man. He's eating breakfast, and he turns to his mother. Mom, are we really gonna live in a hotel for the whole winter?
Yeah, champ, won't that be fun?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, wait a minute. Danny, are you not excited to go live in a big hotel that we'll have all to ourselves for the whole winter?
Well, there aren't any other kids there, and there's a finite amount of children's literature that I'll have at my disposal. And
Danny,
also, Also, you know who thinks it's a bad idea.
Tony, why do you not want to go up and live in the mountains of Colorado for the weekend?
Danny crooks his index finger and wiggles it as though it's some sort of proxy speaker and speaks like a real fucking creep to his mother as quote-unquote Tony. Hey! Nobody wants to live in a fucking hotel all winter, bada boosh!
Tony, now watch your language. We don't allow that at the breakfast table.
Ah! Danny pulls out a tiny cigarette and places it against his fingerprint.
Tony, are you sure? There's going to be probably a lot of old broken pipes and machinery for you to get your hands dirty fixing them.
Yeah, speaking of old pipes and machinery, I think I gotta go to the proctologist, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, why don't we finish our breakfast and then we can talk about it
Two
later.
steaks! 2 steaks for Tony!
How about a bowl of Cheerios for Tony?
How about a fucking highball?
Don't you fucking mouth back to me, you piece of shit. Smash wipe. Mr. Ullman's office.
So as you can see, this is my collection of dust. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, Mr. Ullman, if we couldn't get down to brass tacks, nuts and bolts here, as intriguing as this collection of dust is.
Oh, okay. Mr. Ullman shuffles across the room, pulls out an ornate drawer, and shows Jack all of his brass tacks. He pulls open another one filled with nuts and bolts.
Pretty exciting, no?
I think perhaps there's been an amusing miscommunication here, Mr. Ullman.
Miscommunication, you get in here.
What do you want?
I'll tell you a secret, Mr. Torrance. She's the only one whose bottom I don't try to grab.
Am I needed in here or what? I was over here cataloging the moth eggs and sneaking half of them in my mouth as snacks.
Oh, boy. No, you're released for the winter.
All right, I'm just going to fly out this window like a bat.
Miscommunication unfurls her beautiful butterfly wings and ascends.
Oh, shit like that's happening all the time in this hotel.
Jeez Louise, Mr. Ullman, it seems like you need a man here of staunch character in order to put up with all the goings-on.
That is exactly what we are looking for, Mr. Torrance. Now, if I could, I'd like to outline the duties of your job. As you know, Colorado gets cold, and the Overlook Hotel seems to get colder than anywhere else in the continental U.S. It's a giant sort of ice pentagram forms on the campus. I don't know why. Anyway, so we need a groundskeeper to prevent Old Mother Winter from squeezing the hotel beneath her hoary tits.
Yeah, now the guy that put me onto this job... The guy that put me onto this job said that there was a recent vacancy due to the early retirement of the previous groundskeeper.
Oh, Mr. Ullman tugs at his collar. Funny story, that.
Well, maybe I should just act it out for you with these hand puppets. It'll make the medicine go down a bit easier.
We see Mr. Ullman, incredibly dexterous with his hands for a man of his years, bring out a puppet of Grady, the old groundskeeper, his bald puppet pate shining in the window's glare. Grady clutches his head as though it is filled with awful thoughts. He looks his dead puppet eyes at the small puppet family, the 2 identical twin daughters, and the mother, and he pulls out a felt axe. Oh, no! Ullman sweats.
Tiny grunts escape from his flapping lips as he maneuvers his fingers into ever-increasing and more complex patterns.
This ballet of betrayal and death as the Grady puppet chases down and axes each of his progeny unto death.
The tiny Grady puppet takes out like a perfect scale model of a shotgun at 1/100th scale, puts it in his tiny puppet mouth, and pulls the trigger, blowing the end of Ullman's thumb off.
Oh! Jack Torrance, who noticed a small and uncomfortably close to his crotch ink stain, has been just staring right down there, trying to scrape it out. Finally turns back to Mr. Ullman. What was that? What happened exactly?
No matter. Just working through some things of my own, I suppose. Anyway.
We're just workshopping at this stage.
Look at my Patreon. For $10 a month, you get a finger puppet of your own to star in any of my stories, Mr. Torrance.
Yeah, enough of this fairy tale theater. Mr. Ullman, be straight with me. Do I got the job or not?
The pay is $20 a day in 1970s money.
Oh my God. That's not ink in my pants anymore. It's money.
Smash what? That statement is unexplained and is one of the great mysteries of the Shining film.
And one of the great mysteries of Muffed Movies.
Interior, the Torrance house's bathroom. Danny stands looking into the mirror, looking at his little bowl-cut boy's face. After a moment, he holds up his finger to speak to his old pal Tony.
Tony, why don't you want to live in the Overlook Hotel?
I don't really feel like talking about it to you there, Big D. I got a reason or two to keep hush-hush about it.
How can you have secrets from me? You live inside my mouth.
Well, yeah, that's true. All right, look. Hold my feet to the fire over this fucking...
We are
Look.
one flesh, as man and wife.
Wait. Richard Dreyfuss, what are you doing in the bathtub?
You'll never catch me. We all float down here.
Oh, Jesus.
Dreyfus pulls the plug and swirls down the open drain, making eye contact with Danny the whole time.
Anyway, Tony, you were saying that you're finally willing to explain to me why you don't want us to go to the Overlook after some tacit resistance?
Yeah, but gosh, you know I ain't good with words. How about I just shows you? Come over here, kid.
Maybe better I could just show you.
Tony guides Danny's eyes into the toilet and flushes it. As
No,
the swirling
not again,
water...
Tony.
No, kid, this is gonna be a different thing. Look.
As the swirling waters hypnotize Danny into a lulled state.
Oh. Suddenly, Danny has a vision from later in the movie of elevators opening up and rich, iron-filled blood fortifies the entire lobby of a hotel as it spills like a river out of the elevator doors. Danny sees his own face, acting like it's screaming. I mean, what are you going to do? He's like a 5-year-old actor.
Yeah, he's not very good.
Hey, kid.
Danny's on the floor. What is it, Tony, before I lose consciousness?
What is this? The fourth Thursday of the month when my ex-wife is home. Hey!
Smash cut.
Worth it.